Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630.
It is 8:07 here on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. I am Larry O'Connor. Right over there is Brian Wilson. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
What did Bill Thompson just say? That most Americans want Hillary Clinton to run for president?
There apparently have been some surveys that said that she would be a very popular choice.
I just saw a story. She is our Secretary of State. The Middle East is imploding right now, and her big initiative yesterday was to call on world leaders to save the African elephant.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank you, Hillary.
Well, I'm all in favor of saving elephants, and especially since it is the symbol of the Republican Party.
Oh, maybe this is her way of reaching across party lines. She's not saving the donkey, is she?
She's trying to be bipartisan.
And she knows about jackasses. Wow. Joining us now, National Review Online. National Review Online's national affairs columnist, and of course the author of Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk. He's our pal, John Fund. Good morning, John.
Pleasure, Larry.
So, John, we've been talking this morning about all the reports of discontent with Speaker Boehner. You saw, I'm sure, the reports over at Breitbart about a secret list and criteria that was used to purge some of the more conservative and Tea Party type congressmen from key committees. Is this just a whole lot of noise? Is there really discontent, and is the party as fractured as it's starting to seem to be?
Well, I think it is of concern because the Tea Party helped elect this House Republican majority, and to see some of the most ardent Tea Party people bounced off committees is, shall we say, not exactly a proper reward for the Tea Party support. Having said that, I think what's happening here is very simple. The people who were kicked off of the Budget Committee or the Financial Services Committee were people who were opposed to the Ryan budget the last time it went up because it wasn't tough enough. So if you're going to have a deal and Paul Ryan is involved, you're not going to want, on a very closely divided budget committee, you're not going to want Republicans who say, I can't go for this because it's not tough enough. So I think this is simply guaranteeing that whatever deal Speaker Boehner finally cuts, he will have enough votes on the Budget Committee to pass it.
But I've been trying to explain to Larry, and I know he knows this instinctively, but he disagrees with me because he thinks it's the status quo. This is the way the game is played, and if you don't like it, then you get enough people who feel the way you do to do something about it. And if you don't have enough people to do the things that you want to change, then you shut up, right?
Well, I think we're going to find out how mad the Tea Party is when the primaries come up next in 2014, because the Republican Congress is obviously going to be judged by the extent to which they were able to successfully implement conservative principles, or at least block bad ideas that Barack Obama wants to do. And that's why this is such a tough one, because Barack Obama clearly wants to take the whole country off the fiscal cliff. He sees political advantage, and he sees a chance to crush the Republicans, force them to repudiate their anti-tax pledge, and discredit them in the eyes of their base. So all of this is not about economics or fiscal policy. It's about raw politics.
Thank you. And John Fund, your article at National Review that just posted, I think, 2 days ago, everyone should go see this at National Review Online, because you give some very good advice to the Speaker, because he is under the misconception that he's actually negotiating a fiscal deal with the President. The President has no intent. This is not about a fiscal problem or the deficit or about spending. This is about politics. The President is not acting in good faith. He's leaking information about these private, quote-unquote, phone calls that he's having with the Speaker of the House. The Speaker is not negotiating with the President. He should be negotiating with public opinion, right?
Yes, and we have a precedent here. Remember, Barack Obama came to the White House in 2008 advocating openness and transparency.
Yeah.
And he said we're going to have health care negotiations all on C-SPAN. It turned out they were behind closed doors on Christmas Eve, and we got this abomination called Obamacare, which is falling apart as we speak. So I say the Republicans should say to President Obama, fine. You know, we shouldn't have a backdoor negotiated deal that's constructed in haste. Let's have everything on C-SPAN. And if we can't do it by December 31st, let's just extend the current situation, 20 days, 90 days, so we can have a real tax reform. Let's not do things at the last minute behind closed doors. And, Barack Obama, of course, will ignore them, But I think the Republicans should set up a conference table. They should invite C-SPAN cameras in. They should all sit down and wait for the president and his representatives to show up. And if they don't show up, we'll know who wants to do things in hiding and in the shadows.
That would be great. And here's the other thing. Their very first proposal, the president is lying to the American people, saying that he's trying to propose a middle-class tax cut. Well, that's not true. He's just trying to maintain the taxes for the middle class as they are right now. That is not a tax cut. What the
middle-class taxes are going up as we speak. Right on December 31st, even if nothing is done in the fiscal cliff, taxes on individual flexible savings accounts are going to go up. Taxes on medical devices as part of Obamacare are going to go up. Medical devices are used by the middle class. My uncle, has a back brace. Believe me, he's middle class.
Yeah, and so shouldn't the Republican leadership jump forward and say, we agree with you, Mr. President, let's have a middle-class tax cut. We propose right now to reduce middle-class tax rates by another 20%. What say you?
Look, we have got a spending problem. We do not have a taxing problem. And the most frustrating thing, watching the media coverage of this, is people forget how much federal spending has gone up in real terms since Barack Obama came office. George Bush raised spending too much. Barack Obama has seen him and raised him many times.
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, what I hear when I talk to people up on the Hill right now is that there is absolutely nothing going on. Generally, when there's nothing happening publicly, there's still some things happening behind the scenes. The staffs are meeting, phone calls are being made behind the scenes to see if they can move forward. I'm hearing that absolutely none of that is occurring right now, which means that we are headed for a giant game of chicken and to see who will blink first.
No, it's not a game of chicken. President Obama actually wants to go over the fiscal cliff because look at the advantages for him. The government shut down of 95. Congress got blamed more than the president. He's never going to face the voters again. He gets an enormous amount of tax revenue. Then he can play Santa Claus and divvy back some of it to the middle class, saying, see, I'm restoring some of your tax cuts.
Yeah.
And the advantages for Obama are enormous. Any of these budget cuts, he doesn't care about defense anymore. He's pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan. The domestic cuts, they can be brought back in supplementals later. I mean, it is all to Obama's advantage to go over the fiscal cliff. And I don't think we should let him do it without people understanding this is his idea.
All right, let me ask you another question, and it has to do with the last election. We have had some phone calls. We've had some emails, and actually some people are actually trying to go to a meeting, I think, later this week where they're going to discuss some of the things that were witnessed by people on Election Day in the Commonwealth of Virginia. You've written a book about this. The thing that seems to happen is that people have concerns, they witness things, and then they want to talk about it, but nothing ever really gets done to make the voter process more secure. Your thoughts?
Well, there was voter fraud in this last election. It was not enough to affect the result of the presidential race.
Agreed.
Or most of the Senate races. I'm attending a meeting in Colorado of secretaries of state, which are in the next couple of weeks, which is going to try to improve the process. In Virginia, a delegate is going to propose a measure to get rid of what I call the Moran exemption. That's named after the son of Congressman Moran, who was caught on tape by James O'Keefe saying, well, you can fake utility bills easily and get someone to vote. And he was caught on tape doing that. He had to resign. So the delegate in Virginia is going to propose, let's have real ID, something with a photo on it, and let's not have utility bills used as proper identification to vote.
We got to leave it right there.